Has this ever happened to you? A group of your anime-loving friends start talking about strange things like Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, and Bleach. Then you just have to stand there and nod until the conversation drifts back to Marvel movies and whatever just dropped on Netflix. Chances are, one of the main anime your pals like to talk about is Naruto. You may have seen things like headbands with cool emblems on them, weird hand signals, and plastic shuriken with no idea what they refer to. Even if you wanted to solve this, it would require a commitment of hundreds of hours of TV watching that you might not have. Well, lucky for you, we have exactly what you need. A complete rundown of all the major characters, concepts, and story arcs in the first two Naruto series. So let's not waste any time and jump right into the complete Naruto ninja timeline. So first, let's do a little background on the Naruto world. We'll call this your Naruto 101 course. The world is filled with these hidden villages that contain supernatural ninjas. These ninjas use energy called chakra to perform magical acts known as jutsu, primarily using hand signs. There's genjutsu that affects the senses, taijutsu that enhances physical abilities, and ninjutsu, pretty much anything that's not the other two. Before the series starts, the Hidden Leaf Village is attacked by a giant demon known as the Nine-Tailed Fox. This monster is defeated by the village's leader, called a Hokage. We then pick up 12 years later with a young blonde kid named Naruto who was orphaned by the Nine-Tailed Fox. He's a notorious troublemaker who does a lot of graffiti and wants to be a Hokage one day. One of his school instructors, Mizuki, tells him to steal a secret scroll and learn a technique from it to qualify as a ninja. It turns out that this was a trick to get the scroll. Mizuki tries to take it from Naruto and tells him why everyone in the village hates him so much. It turns out that the Nine-Tailed Fox was only defeated by sealing it inside a child, and that child was Naruto. Enraged, Naruto defeats Mizuki using the shadow clone technique from the scroll. This move was so impressive that Naruto's friend Iruka gives him a Hidden Leaf headband that symbolizes the start of his ninja story. Naruto is then assigned to Team 7, which is sort of like a ninja apprenticeship. He's joined by his arch-rival Sasuke and his crush Sakura. Their teacher is a former Black Ops ninja named Kakashi, who loves to cover 98% of his face at all times. After a few tests that don't go too well for the trio, they're off on their first mission. While escorting a bridge builder into the land of waves, they're confronted by a pair of rogue ninja. The first is a giant sword-wielding warrior named Zabuza, who takes on Kakashi and the crew. The second is a silent assassin named Haku, who owes his life to Zabuza. They have a few confrontations that reveal quite a lot about our heroes. We find out that Kakashi and Sasuke both have the Uchiha clan Sharingan ability, which turns their eyes red and allows them to see others' chakra, among other things that we'll get into later. It also allows them to copy jutsus. While taking on Haku, Naruto learns that he has the ability to tap into the Nine-Tailed Fox's chakra for a massive power boost. And Sakura learns that she will be standing on the sidelines looking worried for 90% of the series. It's good to rip that band-aid off early. The mission ends with Zabuza turning on his employers in grief-stricken rage over Haku's demise. Team 7 returns home for the epic Chunin exams arc. It's basically the ninja SATs, but a lot more violent. Like Harry Potter's Triwizard Tournament, other schools come to compete as well. It begins with a test where the goal is to see if you can successfully cheat at it. Then they get to the outdoor portion of the exam. The survival phase takes place in the Forest of Death and gets pretty dramatic. Naruto and Sasuke are taken on by a mysterious ninja who doesn't seem to be a student. He easily bests both and ends up biting Sasuke, which gives him a weird tattoo on his neck. They're then under the protection of Sakura, who bravely cuts her hair to save them. Sadly, this is one of her best character moments. The surviving ninja were then brought into the fighting tournament round of the exam. Sasuke and Naruto both move on to the next round, while Sakura and her best friend both knock each other out of the tournament. We also see the cold-eyed Neji go up against the innocent Hinata, both using a technique called Gentle Fist. Neji brutally takes her out, but she shows her true spirit. The biggest match involves a taijutsu expert named Rock Lee who takes on the sand-controlling Gaara. His technique is completely unable to break through Gaara's defenses, but he continues to fight harder and harder. It's widely thought of as one of the best fights in the series, even if it ends with Rock Lee's defeat. With the prelims over, there's a bit of a break. Sasuke trains with Kakashi and learns his Chidori, or lightning blade technique. Naruto meets the perverted but brilliant ninja master Jiraiya, who helps him gain more control over his chakra. The final round of the tournament starts with Neji versus Naruto. Naruto wins the match and changes Neji's entire look on life because of his fighting spirit. Gaara does not have the same kind of reaction during his match with Sasuke, unfortunately. Sasuke's Chidori breaks through Gaara's defenses, but it reveals that Gaara might have a touch of demon sealed within him as well. Before we get to see how much, a smoke bomb explodes and the tournament stops. Turns out that creepy ninja from earlier was actually the evil Hidden Leaf exile Orochimaru, and he's invading. His Lieutenant Kabuto uses a jutsu to put most of the ninja asleep. Orochimaru takes on the third Hokage but is horribly injured in the process. The Hokage seals Orochimaru's arms, making him unable to use any jutsu. Unfortunately, this costs him his life. Meanwhile, Naruto took on Gaara. Both ninja used the powers of the demons within them for a pretty epic match. Like Neji before him, Gaara is forever changed after his defeat to Naruto. It starts to be a theme. Two mysterious strangers from the evil Akatsuki organization then suddenly appear outside of the village. One was Sasuke's older traitorous brother Itachi, who slaughtered his entire clan. The other was Kisame, who was his sword-wielding shark-based partner. Itachi makes easy work of both Sasuke and Kakashi with his advanced Sharingan powers. But they get away. Now that the village doesn't have a Hokage, they need a new one. So our heroes set off after the legendary ninja Tsunade, a former comrade of Orochimaru and Jiraiya and pupil of the third Hokage. Unfortunately, Orochimaru is also after her to heal his arms. Luckily, they defeat him again, and Tsunade becomes the new Hokage. Sasuke then decides that he's not getting strong enough to avenge his family. He takes off to join Orochimaru so that he can expand his powers. Naruto teams up with several of his classmates to go get Sasuke. This ends with Naruto and a demonically transformed Sasuke having a showdown over his soul. Ultimately, the team fails to bring Sasuke in, and Naruto leaves the village to train with Jiraiya. Well, folks, we've now made it to the second series, Naruto Shippuden. Several years have passed while Naruto was training with Jiraiya. He's got a new attitude, new powers, and a brandy new outfit. There isn't a lot of time for him to reconnect with all of his old friends, though, because he's sent on a new mission. You see, all the way back in the Hidden Sand Village, Gaara has been promoted to their new leader, the Kazekage. He gets attacked by a pair of Akatsuki ninja named Sasori and Deidara. The latter nearly uses his explosives jutsu that he makes out of clay with his gross mouth hands to obliterate the village. Gaara saves the village but gets captured in the process. So Naruto, Kakashi, and Sakura are tasked with saving him. Naruto and Kakashi took on Deidara while Sakura teamed up with an old puppet ninja named Chiyo to stop Sasori. Sakura and Chiyo destroy Sasori and his army of puppets. It's a truly epic moment that foreshadows how awesome Sakura is going to be in the new series. That's not at all what happens, but for a minute there was hope, right? Ultimately, the team fails to save Gaara in time. His demon is extracted from his body for an unknown nefarious purpose, and he loses his life. Luckily, Chiyo and Naruto manage to bring him back. Kakashi has to be briefly hospitalized due to straining his Sharingan abilities, so the team is given a new leader, Yamato, and a new teammate, Sai. They're tasked with a covert operation to spy on Orochimaru, and possibly bring back Sasuke. Though the ninja art student Sai was given a secondary mission to assassinate Sasuke. He was given this by the evil Danzo, an upper-level ninja in the village. In the end, Naruto and Sakura fail again to bring back Sasuke to the village. He's now even more committed to his mission of vengeance. Still, Naruto and Sakura refuse to give up on their friend. From there, the Hidden Leaf Village takes the Akatsuki threat more seriously. Two supposedly immortal members of the group, Kakuza and Hidan, are introduced. Hidan, the worshipper of death, manages to fatally wound a high-level ninja named Asuma. One of his students, the brilliant tactician and shadow manipulator Shikamaru, gets revenge on Hidan by destroying his body. He buries the immortal ninja and explains that he will be left there for all eternity to suffer for what he did to Asuma. Yeah, you don't mess with Shikamaru. Naruto and Kakashi manage to defeat the patchwork Frankenstein that is Kakuza with some epic teamwork. Kakashi marvels at his pupil's new abilities like the proud daddy he is deep down. Still, the Akatsuki is stealing more tailed demons and gaining power, despite losing members like they're at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Back at Orochimaru's lair, Sasuke decides to turn on his master, who was only using him to steal his body anyway. Sasuke defeats him and sets off to form his own team and get revenge on his brother at last. He starts off by freeing Shark Boy Suigetsu and getting him Zabuza's fancy giant sword. He also finds a female ninja named Karen, who of course falls in love with him. The last member of his team is Jugo, another of Orochimaru's lackeys. Sasuke finally tracks down his brother Itachi and has an epic showdown with him. As Itachi draws his final breath, the truth is finally revealed to Sasuke. It turns out that the reason Itachi destroyed the Uchiha clan was that he was ordered to by the Hidden Leaf Village. The Uchihas were planning a coup, and this was a preemptive strike. So Itachi was the Snape of the Naruto series all along. Naturally, Sasuke then decides to take revenge on the entire Hidden Leaf Village. Meanwhile, Jiraiya set off on his own mission to figure out what was going on with his whole Akatsuki thing. He confronts the leader of the organization, Pain, and it doesn't go well. You see, Pain is actually one of Jiraiya's old students, Nagato, who controls 6 of his former friends like superpowered zombies. They were all refugees from the Second Shinobi War long ago and formed Akatsuki to stop a similar conflict. Naturally, this ended in tragedy, and Nagato gave up his pacifist ways in order to start the ninja equivalent of Hydra, though it would appear that there's still a puppet master pulling the strings from the shadows. Well, puppet masters, but more on that later. Pain decides to attack the Leaf Village directly in order to take control of Naruto's demon. He succeeds in destroying the village and takes out several fan-favorite characters, including Kakashi and Hinata, who finally admits to being in love with Naruto just as she drops. Naruto, armed with new abilities and a greater mastery of his demon powers, defeats Pain. He then goes to talk to Nagato in person, where he renews the evil ninja's sense of hope. It's kinda like Naruto's superpower. Nagato then revives everyone who lost their lives during the attack, and Naruto is praised as a hero. The end, right? Not even close. The leaders of the various ninja villages decide to hold a big summit on what to do about the Akatsuki situation. As you can probably guess, it doesn't go well. The meeting is interrupted by Akatsuki agent Zetsu, who looks like a person whose parents are a Venus flytrap and an Oreo cookie. Then Sasuke and his team attack the summit as well. This officially preludes the Shippuden endgame with a massive event known as the Fourth Shinobi World War. Sasuke continues his quest for revenge by confronting Danzo. He forces Danzo to admit that he was the one that forced Itachi to take out their clan. Then he reveals that his body is covered in the Sharingan eyes of the doomed Uchihas. Sasuke defeats Danzo, but he attempts to use Karin as a human shield. That doesn't prove to matter much to Sasuke, though, as he stabs Danzo right through Karin's body. Then, if things hadn't gotten dark enough, Sakura pleads with Sasuke to let her join him. He tells her that if she'll finish off Karin, she can come along. Sakura refuses, and Sasuke tries to attack her. Luckily, Kakashi manages to stop his former pupil, blaming himself for how horrible Sasuke had become. Weirdly enough, Sakura still swoons over him. He really has that Kylo Ren irresistible man of evil thing going on. That's definitely not healthy. Meanwhile, it's revealed that Tobi, Akatsuki's silly mascot, has been the evil ringleader all along. He teams up with Kabuto to create a giant army of 100,000 Zetsu and a bunch of revived ninja zombies. Thus begins the Fourth Shinobi World War. There are a lot of skirmishes with old faces and epic team-ups. Things really heat up, though, when Akatsuki reveal their secret weapon, the legendary evil ninja Madara Uchiha. In possibly the most epic moment in the entire series, Madara takes on the entire allied army single-handedly. Meanwhile, Kabuto makes the terrible mistake of resurrecting Itachi. He fails to control him and loses to the team-up between the reunited Uchiha brothers. Defeating Kabuto destroys his jutsu, and all the ninja revived by Akatsuki rest again. Itachi finally reaches closure with his brother, and the war turns for our heroes. Only for some reason, Madara doesn't disappear. If things weren't painful enough, Kakashi discovers the horrifying true identity of Tobi. So Kakashi was trained by the ninja who would be the fourth Hokage, who also sealed the nine-tailed fox and looks suspiciously like Naruto. His teammates were the Naruto-esque Obito Uchiha and Rin, who was, you guessed it, just like Sakura. During a mission, Kakashi loses an eye, and Obito is viciously wounded. Obito gives Kakashi his eye, possessing the Sharingan, and is left to his end. Only it turns out Obito didn't lose his life after all. He was saved by the incredibly old Madara Uchiha, who brought him into his plans. When he was well enough, Obito tried to rejoin his friends, but found Kakashi stabbing Rin through the heart with his Chidori. Though, of course, Rin had tricked him into doing it to save other people. Madara then explained to the grieving Obito that he planned to transform the world into a paradise, where no one would lose a loved one again. So Obito Darth Vader'd hard, donned a mask, and started the whole Akatsuki plot. He also was the one who released the nine-tailed fox on the Hidden Leaf Village. His former mentor then steps in and saves the village by sealing the demon into his own son. That's right, Naruto's the son of the fourth Hokage. Yeah, we saw that one coming. There isn't a whole lot of time to process this, though, because Obito and Madara are ready to enact their big plan. Despite the fact that they failed to capture the 9- and 8-tailed beasts, they set about summoning the legendary 10-tailed demon. This threat devastates the allies and takes the life of Neji. Naruto holds his old rival as he reflects on how Naruto changed his life. Obito hoped that this setback would crush Naruto's resolve, but it merely strengthens it. All of the young ninja from the series reunite, including Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. Obito seals the 10-tailed beast within him and becomes even more powerful. Naruto and Sasuke combine their powers and overcome Obito, though he manages to revive Madara to his full power. He eventually seals the 10-tailed beast into himself and becomes insanely powerful, which is really a trend at this point. Kakashi manages to bring Obito back around to the good guy's side, which is also a trend. It doesn't matter though, because Madara launches his infinite dream technique. This connects all life together into a shared dream state. Madara smiles at his victory, but is stabbed through the chest by Zetsu. That's right, Madara wasn't the ultimate bad guy either. Turns out it was actually Princess Kaguya, the ancient godlike being who was the first to use chakra. She's been imprisoned for millennia and has manipulated everyone to secure her revival. You basically need a chart to follow this full plan. Team 7 manages to defeat her with Obito's help and finally saves the world. Not that they get to rest long though. Sasuke and Naruto go off to have their final battle. Naruto wins both the showdown and the ultimate ethical conversation about hope versus darkness. They return home, where Naruto is eventually made Hokage. He also marries Sasuke at last, and they live happily ever. What? Sasuke and Naruto don't end up together? That's just silly. That would be like Hermione Granger ending up with Ron Weasley instead of Harry Potter. Nonsense. Anyway, Sasuke ends up with Sakura, because that sends a healthy message. Naruto, on the other hand, finally lands Hinata and has a pair of kids. Though that story is a different anime entirely. So, what does all this amount to? It's a story about always fighting for your dreams, never giving hope, and never giving up on friends. So, there you have it, everything you need to know about the Naruto timeline. Nothing quite compares to watching the anime, but we hope it helps. Which part was your favorite? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more